The other thing you should do if you're not very industrious is discipline yourself. And so what do you do with that? Eat 3 times a day at regular meal times. That's a good thing to practice because that starts to put some stability into your life. Get up at the same time. I would highly recommend all those young people out there who are listening, like, you want to get a jump on life, get the hell out of bed in the morning. You know, as I've got older, I've got up earlier and earlier. Now that's partly because you don't need as much sleep, but it's also partly because I've got more and more disciplined. Like, get up early in the morning and get your things done. Man, learn to get up at 6 in the morning and you'll be one deadly creature, especially if you can get to work. You'll have half your damn day done by the time other people haul their sorry asses out of bed. And so that's a massive, massive advantage. Look, Warren Farrell, not the comedian, Warren Farrell, the author, he outlined data in Why Men Earn More, which is a book I would recommend, by the way, showing that if you work 13% longer hours, you make 40% more money. It's nonlinear. So you think, why is that? Well, imagine you had 10 employees and one of them works an extra 10%. It's not much. Well, how often is that person going to be promoted, assuming you have a clue as a boss? It's like you're going to look at the 10 people and you're going to think, oh, that guy's always here like 45 minutes early. It's like, why don't we give him the promotion? Obviously, right? So these small edges that you can manage like that, work an extra 10%, or extra 13%, have non-proportional payoffs. That's part of the Pareto distribution. So get your sleep cycle organized so you get up in the morning. Learn how to do it. No excuses. I'm too tired in the morning. I don't like mornings. Who cares? That's not relevant. It's like discipline yourself so you can manage it. Schedule your meals because that's a good disciplinary routine. And then learn to use a calendar, like Google Calendar. Many of you out there do not use a calendar. Okay, a calendar is not a prison and it's not a tyrant. Not if you use it properly. A calendar keeps anxiety at bay. It makes sure that you do what you need to do, which is important because otherwise you fall behind. But if you use it properly, it also helps you plan what you want to do. So I could say, well, lay out your damn calendar and design the days you would like to have. That's what your calendar is for. So you can put in all sorts of things in there you want to do and that would be good for you. And that's a really good way to start being more industrious. Make a plan. You need a plan for 3 years. You need a plan for the next year. You need a plan for the next 6 months. You need a plan for the next 3 months. You need a plan for the week. You need a plan for the day. You need a plan for the hour. All of that. I make lists constantly of what I have to do. And they're like daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Right now, I can't look out more than about 6 months, because my life is too complicated and chaotic. But you need a vision of who you could be, what character you could have. 3 to 5 years out, you can't go much farther than that because life is too unpredictable, I think, to make vision that's longer term than that subject to. There's too much chance associated with it to spend a lot of time on. Maybe you can stretch it to 5 years, and in rare cases, you can have a 10-year goal, but it has to be pretty low resolution. But you want plans at all those levels of resolution. You want to write the things down. And because what are you going to do? You're going to stumble around and get what you need? You're going to stumble around and be useful to other people? And it's useful to be useful to other people, They want to work with you then. They want to do things with you. They want to have you around. They trust you. They open up opportunities for you. And if you stumble around like you're blind, you're not going to get anywhere. And then you're going to suffer. And then you're going to be bitter. And then you're going to be cruel. So that's hell. That's a bad outcome.
Want to be happy? Build a life, not just a business. Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel is created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You've got Michael Jordan level genius at something. So today, let's live your best believe life and get some of the greatest lessons for young people. Enjoy. Lesson number 2, pay the price today with Grant Cardone.
Pay the price today, okay? Learn to discipline yourself. If you got to go to the gym every day, if you hate going to the gym, go to the gym. I don't like going to the gym, but I don't like my body hurting either. Sooner or later, if you don't go to the gym and work your body will scream at you and it will hurt. Lower back pains, arms, shoulders, knees, you name it. It's always going to hurt. And as long as it's hurting, how can you be fully available for the people around you if your body's hurting? 2, you got to eat good foods, okay? Got to make decisions. I ain't going to eat junk. I'm not going to eat the junk. Why? Why? Because I'm saying no to junk. And if you can start saying no to stuff, you can start saying yes to the good things. Like my little girl right there, Sabrina. Say hi, Sabrina. Hey. So pay the price today. Learn how to be great at jobs you hate. That's paying the price. Get up early. Go to bed early. Okay, beat the sun up every morning. It'll give you so much confidence. I'm paying the price when I do that. When I get up before the sun gets up, I'm paying the price. When I go to bed at 9 o'clock and I'm not watching TV and movies and just being entertained and affected whatever's coming my way, I'm paying the price. When I don't waste the weekends make you weak. Listen to me. Weekends are for weak people. Anything after 10 o'clock at night, it's for weak people. Okay, Saturday and Sunday, staying up all night, weak people. People are made weak on the weekends. Pay the price, okay? Give up the weekends for the next 5 years and watch what happens. 5 years, man, that's a lot of weekends. That's, what is that, 250 weekends? Is that right? Yeah, 250 weekends. That means I'm ahead of the people around me. I'm paying the price today in hopes that I could pay any price in the future. So that when you have a family, okay? When you find that person that you love and want to take care of, when you finally get the right job and the credibility and the trust in the marketplace, when you finally believe in yourself completely, you'll also have the rewards and the fruits necessary so that you can start paying for the things that you and your family have now earned and deserve.
Lesson number 3, make progress now with Ed Milet.
If you've got the desire to win, if you want to be somebody, if you want to make your dreams come true, I don't care if you're 12 years old or 82 years old, your age is irrelevant. It's a form of ageism to tell a young person, just be patient. If you're like me, my mom and my dad didn't give me a business. I didn't start on second or third base like some of these people that are telling you somehow to be patient. I had to pick myself up by my bootstraps and make something of my life. And frankly, the sooner you get going, the sooner you start working on yourself, the sooner you make progress, the sooner you're going to get there and enjoy your life. And so don't listen to that crap. Think about this. When I was in my 20s, I made 6 figures early in my 20s. By the time I was 30, I was making 7 figures. By the time I was 40, I was earning an 8-figure income. What if somebody had told me, cool it, be patient, don't worry about it? My entire life would be different. I wouldn't be looking at the ocean, living oceanfront now, or flying on my jet, or taking care of my parents, or having multiple homes, living on the lake, having multiple boats, multiple cars, whatever the material things are, donating to the charities that I want. And I listen to that absurd, ridiculous, stupid advice. So please don't listen to those people who tell you that. They have good intentions. They're talking about not putting pressure on yourself. You've got all kinds of time. The truth is, a little pressure is probably pretty good for you. Think about this. Steve Jobs was in his 20s and teens when he started. Bill Gates, Mark Cuban, Kylie Jenner. You talk any entrepreneur that's out there today that you know pretty well, most of them started young. Jay-Z started young. LeBron James started young. Why is it that you can't start young?
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Lesson number 4, attack the life that you want with Gary Vaynerchuk.
This is the time to realize that you have a 5-year window, and it's 3 for some, it's 8 for others, but this is a 5-year window for you to attack the life that you want to win, not because it's the secret or because the world's so zen, because it's hard as shit out there. As a matter of fact, I'm probably more scared about your naivete to how hard class is easy, right? What you've been doing for the last 16 years is easy. It's a bullshit game. It's structured. It's easy. The world, this thing is hard. However, that contradicts what I'm going to tell you right now, which is this is the best and easiest 5 years of your life, because this is when you need to attack what you love and what you want to do. Here's why. You don't have all the baggage. You may have college loans. Respect, it's hard as shit. You may have the expectations of your parents, mentally hard, fake hard. You may have a lot of other things, but this is exactly when you can live with 4 roommates in a basement and eat fast food. Do you understand? This is not when the baby's there. Some of you have babies. This is not when you've been married and you promised. This is not when the world has sucked out all your dreams and hopes yet. You still got this window. And yet, so many of you are so hungry for short-term gains, like maximizing the job that paid you $3,000 more, but it's not as fun, but you want that $3,000. For what? For what? For a new iPhone? For what? You get to live life one time. And this is the time right now to understand what's actually happening and actually map your behavior to something that will impact you for the next 80 years. So promise me, all you youngsters that are watching this right now, in the comments, because I'll jump in and talk to you. Promise me that you understand that the land grab of happiness starts right now. That you don't have to worry about getting that job. What you should do is go and travel and learn. Go and start that business that you've always wanted. Hook up with those 3 teammates and start that band you've always wanted. This is the time to be massively risk oriented. I know that this is when you're supposed to grow up and go see the world, but guess what? The world isn't what mommy and daddy told you. The world is exactly going to be what it's going to be, with or without the way you thought it was gonna be. A ton of is gonna change. The world changes every goddamn day. Right now, what you need to recognize is you can afford to. And not all of you, I'm sure somebody will leave a comment and say, I've got a loan. I get it, respect. But that loan is gonna be there whether you go and try to build something for yourself or not, one way or the other. And by the way, you can work at night. This is when you put in the 18 hours a day to make your life that you want happen. And again, because I'm scared, I can hear myself talking. I'm not saying it's the secret, it's practicality. When you are in your early 20s, this is when you can grind at your highest levels, because there isn't all the baggage that comes across from life. It's harder for the 42-year-olds that are watching right now to listen to this advice. You can't just wake up tomorrow and be like, let's go, because little Sally has soccer practice, and because you've got a million other things that are holding you down. But boy, if you're lucky enough to be graduating today with not a idea of what you're gonna do with your future, nobody's ever been luckier than you. Please recognize it.
Lesson number 5, be careful who you hang out with Eric Thomas.
I need you to be careful of the environment you're in and the people you're running with. And I'm not mad at you, but just make sure that the people you're with are taking you where you want to go. So if you're trying to go to jail, keep running with my man. That's where you're trying to go. If you're trying to die early, go for it. I'm saying that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get pregnant before you're 17, keep fooling with my man. I don't know what you're trying to do. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. But I'm saying that the group of people you hanging with, you better be careful who you're hanging with, because they taking you somewhere. Bro, the person you hang out with can change your life forever. Who you hanging out with? Who you running with? You running with people going to jail? I'm not against that. I just know when I got caught with my boy with the dope and we went to jail, we didn't go to prison. We went to jail for a couple days. I realized then it was a toilet in the middle of the, I knew then, this ain't I can't do this. It was dudes like actually using the bathroom in front of people. I was like, bro, I don't care if I'm in here 2 days, 4 days, 5 days, I'm holding everything. They was bringing in nasty food. Dudes was like, let me get yours. I'm like, here, you can have it. They was eating it like it was McDonald's. You laughing, but they had gotten accustomed to being prisoners. They got accustomed to their freedom being taken. I went one time and was like, yo, this ain't for me. I'm not meant to be bunking with no dude forever. I ain't mad at nobody, but I'm not meant to be telling bedtime. Me and my man telling stories for 30 years together. It's top bunk, I'm in the bottom bunk. I'm like, that ain't my life. I got married at 19. I've been sleeping with my girl since I was 19 years old. I wasn't meant to be in prison. I wasn't meant to miss Thanksgiving with my grandma. I wasn't meant to miss 4th of July. That's not the life I was meant for. I was meant to have my freedom. I was meant to travel the world. I got a passport. What's your life meant for? And how important is your life to you? How much do you value it? This is your time, guys. I used to tell my kids when they was in school, this your job. This your only job. What you're doing right now is going to determine where you go next. And where you go next is going to determine the rest of your life. You ain't going to be a teenager but for a few years. Watch this. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's 7 years. It seems like it's gonna last forever, but it's not. You'll be a teenager for 7 years. You'll be an adult for the rest of your life. But the decisions you make in those 7 years will determine what the rest of your life looks like.
And lesson number 6, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is open your eyes with Sadhguru.
I want to open your eyes and look at the world. Right now, please see, what is the most needed thing in the world right now? You don't do some fanciful thing that you like to do. You must do what's most needed, isn't it? Isn't it so? If you get carried away by situations, people become like this, it's useful but it is not the basic thing. Today you saw a train burning, so you want to become a firefighter. Tomorrow you saw something, you want to become that. In reaction, in emotional reaction, you choose to become something. It could be useful on some level. But now, when most young people cannot think, you're thinking, what should I do with my life? When such a thought has come, I would say spend a little more time on it. Not being influenced by anybody or anything, simply look at it. What is it that the humanity needs most? What is it that the world needs most today? I want you to recognize that. The only thing that needs to be fixed on this planet is human beings. Everything else is fine, isn't it so? So, I would say, all young people, not just you, must take a break from what you're doing. Just caught up because you did school, you went to a college, because you did college, you went to the next thing and the next thing and you end up with a PhD. What to do? It's dangerous, you know. Because the education scientists are saying if you go through 20 years of formal education and land up with a PhD or something, 70% of your intelligence is irrevocably destroyed. Yes, you become a very knowledgeable idiot. And today knowledge has no use because whatever a PhD holder knows, a high school kid can open the internet and talk the same language. You can't even look smart anymore with what you collected, isn't it? Because just about anybody will talk these things because it's all over the place. So are you preparing for a university or the universe? That's where you have to live, unless you want to become an academic. I'm not saying these things are wrong, but human beings, sensible human beings must invest their life towards what is needed most, isn't it? Not some fanciful thing that I want to do or you want to do. You can do whatever, joyfully or miserably, isn't it? And just because today you think, by doing this I will be happy, if you go, don't ever think you will stay happy by doing that after some time. Everybody, when they got their first job, what a beautiful day it was. You went to this mangy little office, sat there and wow, how it felt. But after a few years, sitting behind the same table, it's taking your life. The same job, the same marriage, the same situations, they're taking your life. At one day it looked like heaven, after some time it looks like hell, isn't it? Not because there's something wrong with those jobs, simply because you're doing it for the wrong reason. You're just doing it for the wrong reasons, that's all. Now that you're thinking, I would say take a few weeks off. Be willing to give you the space. Just stay uninfluenced by anybody, just look at it. There are many things you will want to do right now because of immediate compulsions. You're broke right now, you think the first thing is to find a job. Or some other compulsion within you, you think the first thing is to do this. Beside your compulsions, suppose you had none of these compulsions, what would you like to do with life? That's what you should do. You should not decide your life and the course of your life based on immediate compulsions. You decide in your life, if you do this for 100 years and look back, after 100 years if you look back, is it still worthwhile? You do that. There are many others who would like to be you. Oh, I wish I was 20 and I wish I could think what to do at that time I did something. There are any number of people here. Now that you're 20 and you're fortunate that you're thinking and it's fortunate that you're here, it's time you think straight before you do anything.
You need to apply every day to do something in your business, 30 to 60 minutes at least every single day. And this is for anybody who has a life outside of their business, whether you have a job, whether you're in high school, whether you're in university, whether you're doing something else. You have this dream that you want to go out and do, but you have a lot of other responsibilities. And often what you'll find is those things take away from your time to actually run your business. And so you need to make sure that you're taking action every single day, that you're building momentum for your business, for your idea. Even if you don't know what the next best step is, because there is no perfect steps in building a business. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do and test and try and build momentum for, but making sure that you're putting the time in. Because I think too many people spend too much time up here, too much time thinking and making the perfect plan and not enough time actually doing. You gotta get out and actually do. And make time for it consistently, 30 to 60 minutes every single day on your business to start building momentum.
Put it in let's get it.
I was living in London and attending law school. I was becoming disillusioned with the law. I happened to be dating a girl who was in advertising. She said, you might like advertising, and boom, I have a career in marketing. Like, I fell into it. So many of us fall into our careers and fall into our jobs. And even if we do pursue something we want to do, sometimes it takes diversions, right? This is what I mean by living our lives by accident, which is we largely leave the direction of our careers and sometimes even our own happiness to others, our bosses and all of that thing. So what it means to live your life on purpose means you understand the direction you're heading, but you remain agnostic as to the route. Most people try very, very hard to plan the route. In other words, what's your plan? And people say, well, first I'm going to work here for 3 years, then I'm going to quit and I'm going to do this, and then for 4 years they got the route planned. And the question is, where are you going, right? And that to me is what it means to have purpose. It means to have destination, right? It's like waking up in the morning and saying, I'm going on holiday. And somebody says, well, where are you going? I said, I'm going on vacation, I told you. You're like, where are you going? Vacation, right? And so how are you going to get there? You're like, well, I'm taking Route 95. So you've got the route planned, but you have no destination. And you see this in companies all the time. Why does your company exist? Growth. Great. Why are you growing? Why do you need to grow? What does growth mean? Because we're a company, we have to grow. And so they figure out all of these paths for growth, but they don't know where they're going. I would rather someone wake up in the morning and say, California. I'm trying to get to California, and I don't care what route I take. I'm going to start down Route 95, and if I find a better route, I'm going to take it. If there's traffic on Route 95, I'm going to take a side road. So this is what happened in my career. People kept telling me that I was unfocused because I kept taking side roads. I wasn't unfocused. I was going around obstacles. So that's what it means to live a life of purpose. It means I live every single day of my life trying to get to an endpoint. In my case, to create a world in which the vast majority of people wake up every single morning inspired to go to work, feel safe when they're there, and return home at the end of the day fulfilled by the work that they do. That is the destination I'm trying to reach. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to try every path I can to get there. Highly, highly focused. That's what it means to live a life on purpose. We're often given this advice, like, do what you love.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do with that?
Yes.
Like, find your passion. Like, thank you. Like, great. I don't know what to do tomorrow. For me, passion is the result of something, right? So if you work hard for something you don't believe in, that's called stress. And if you work hard for something you do believe in, that's called passion. So it's finding the belief, it's finding the cause, it's finding the purpose, and the passion then shows up. So it's not about doing something with passion and then finding the cause. It's finding the cause, starting with why, and then the passion is what results.
I was working once at an ice cream parlor when I was about 15 years old, my first real job. And on the second day, I was asked to scrape the gum off between the Mexican tiles on the floor. And I said to the woman who owned the store, it was called Magoo's Ice Cream Parlor, you didn't hire me to scrape gum, you hired me to scoop ice cream. And there's this girl in the shoe store across the way that's looking at me. I don't want her to see me scraping the gum. And she said, "What are you talking about? I own this store. I'll do anything I want with you. Get down on your knees and scrape that gum." And I said, "I'm not doing it." She said, "You're fired." Last job I ever had. I owe that woman everything. I don't like to work for people. Many of you in here, I hope, inherit that. There's nothing wrong with it, but if you want to control your own destiny, you work for yourself. That's how it works. I'm trying to inspire those of you who are on the tipping point. Take the chance, you're young. Go for it. There's nothing better than being able to wake up in the morning 10 years or 20 years from now and do whatever you like. It's about freedom. That's what matters. I'm not saying being an employee is bad, but believe me, being an entrepreneur is better. I'm a little biased.
Did you know you wanted to do this when you were a kid?
Yes. Well, not this particular expedition, but it was a very good question. You know, ever since I was 5 years old, that's when Neil Armstrong stepped onto the surface of the moon. I've been kind of passionate about space, rockets, rocket engines, space travel. I became a science fiction reader, and I've always known that I wanted to do something having to do with space, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about it for really almost my whole life. And that's one of the things. You guys will find that you have passions, and having a passion is a gift. I think we all have passions, and you don't get to choose them. They pick you, but you have to be alert to them. You have to be looking for them. And when you find your passion, it's a fantastic gift for you because it gives you direction, it gives you purpose. You can have a job, or you can have a career, or you can have a calling. And the best thing is to have a calling. And if you find your passion, you'll have that, and all your work won't feel like work to you.
So what advice do you give to someone who's 8 years old, who wants to put content up, and of all the haters that may comment and just like destroy his spirit?
So hard, so tough. It's horrible. It's horrible. When my mom goes, "I want to do vlogs." My mom vlogs, guys. She's got like 700,000 subscribers. This is my mother. She's 55. When she goes, "I want to do vlogs," I'm like, "Mom, you have no idea. The internet is gonna tear you apart." She's like, "No, I'm fine." Week later, calls me sobbing. "Look at you, won't believe what these people are saying about me. Are my wrinkles really that bad? Am I not funny?" I'm like, "Mom, I told you. You gotta have iron skin." But as an 8-year-old, it's hard to have iron skin because you're 8. So I'd say if you know you want to be a YouTuber and an influencer, just know the hate is coming. The negative comments are when I had acne in college when I was doing Vines, and like I'd get comments like, "You look like a burn victim," whatever, and I'm like, "Ow!" Like they hurt me. But at the end of the day, you like, who cares? There's like 5 of them saying that.
How old are you?
How old are you?
How old are you?
6 3/4.
Okay. So wait, you have to tell everyone that because if I repeated it, you'd think I'm lying. Okay, go.
6 3/4.
Yeah. Okay. Love those fractions. Yes. Yeah, you know. Okay, if you're asking those questions now, you'll be the deepest thinking adult there ever was. So what is the meaning of life? I think people ask that question on the assumption that meaning is something you can look for, and then, I found it. Here's the meaning. Here's what it is. I've been looking for it. Okay? And it doesn't consider the possibility that maybe meaning in life is something that you create. You manufacture for yourself and for others. And so when I think of meaning in life, I ask, have I learned something today that I didn't know yesterday? Bringing me a little closer to knowing all that can be known in the universe. Just a little closer. However far away all the knowledge sits, I'm a little closer. If I live a day and I don't know a little more that day than the day before, I think I wasted that day. So the people who at the end of the school year say, this summer I don't have to think anymore. I'm thinking, what? To learn is to become closer to nature. And to learn how things work gives you power to influence events, gives you power to help people who may need it, power to help yourselves, to shape a trajectory. So when I think of what is the meaning of life, to me that's not an eternal, unanswerable question. To me, that is in arm's reach of me every day. And so for you, at age 6 3/4, may I suggest that for you, you should explore nature as much as you possibly can. And occasionally that means getting your clothes dirty because you might want to jump into puddles and your parents don't want you to do that. You tell them that I gave you permission to jump into puddles. You know what else? You know what else? So, I'll give you more permission for more things. You ready? Okay. Have you ever pulled all the pots and pans out of the cabinet before and hit them with the wooden spoon? Have you done that yet? Have you done that? He said, in a way. And what did your parents say when you did that?
Well, I did it with paper plates, but...
Oh, you did it with paper plates. That's not nearly as fun as doing it with the pots and pans. Okay? So you have my permission to pull pots and pans out of the cabinets and bang on them with spoons and knives and things. Not knives. Spoons. Okay. So, here's the thing. You're still a kid. And part of being a kid is exploring the world around you. And all the way the laws of nature influence that world. So take different pots and pans and hit them with a spoon, and they'll all sound different. They'll sound different with different spoons. Some pans are aluminum, some are steel, some are copper. They'll sound different, and that's kind of a fun experiment. And most parents will say, don't do that, you're getting them dirty. Stop doing that, you're making too much noise. You tell them, then why did you have me in the first place? Okay? Because, just remind them that they didn't have kids so that they could keep having a neat house, okay? Because kids make things messy. And there's a reason why they make things messy, because they're exploring the world around them. And so you have my permission. Now, if you get in trouble, I'm not going to be around. I'm not going to be back. But we have witnesses here, right? Okay. So your meaning in life will be enhanced if you're given as much freedom as you can to explore the world. Then when you get older, you will become so close to how the world works that when a problem arises that needs a solution, you will say, I know how to solve that. I've been thinking about that before. And I've been thinking about that ever since I was banging the pans on the kitchen floor, or ever since I jumped with 2 feet into a puddle, or ever since I walked up and down and caught snowflakes in my mouth as I walked down the street. Did you do that today when it snowed? When was the last time you caught snowflakes in your mouth?
Like a few weeks ago.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna ask a grown-up that same question, okay? When was the last time you caught snowflakes in your mouth? I don't remember. You see the problem here, okay? The grown-ups have forgotten how to embrace nature, how to think about the natural world. So, you will owe it to yourself and everyone else who will be cured by some medicine you may invent one day. You owe it to yourself and to everyone else to continue to stay curious. And by doing so, you will have created the meaning in life that others think is waiting under a rock for them one day. And you would have made it happen all on your own. So thanks for your question.
In your life, what obstacles did you face before you achieved success? Did positivity help you in some ways, and how did you come up with the solution?
Wow, that's a good philosophical question. You know, we all have adversity in our lives. I doubt if you really, if you know somebody, any friend or anybody that you talk to, there's no lack of adversity. And by the way, that's good, because it's what teaches us how to get back up. You fall down, you get back up. It always happens. And, you get certain gifts in life and you want to take advantage of those. But I guess my advice on adversity and success would be to be proud not of your gifts, but of your hard work and your choices. So, you may be, the kinds of gifts you get in life, you might be really good at math. It might be really easy for you. That's a kind of gift. But practicing that math and taking it to the next step, that could be very challenging and hard and take a lot of sweat. That's a choice. You can't really be proud of your gifts because they were given to you. You can be grateful for them and thankful for them. But your choices, you choose to work hard. You choose to do hard things. Those are choices that you can be proud of.
You take crazy risks. You bet your fortune on it, and you seem to have done that multiple times. I mean, almost no one can do that. Can we have some of that secret sauce? Can we put it into our education system? Can someone learn from you? It is truly amazing what you've done.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Well, I do think there's a good framework for thinking is physics. The sort of first principles reasoning. I mean, generally, I think there are. What I mean by that is boil things down to their fundamental truths and reason up from there, as opposed to reasoning by analogy. Through most of our life, we get through life by reasoning by analogy, which essentially means kind of copying what other people do with slight variations. And you have to do that, otherwise it's mentally you wouldn't be able to get through the day. But when you want to do something new, you have to apply the physics approach. Physics has really sort of figured out how to discover new things that are counterintuitive, like quantum mechanics. It's really counterintuitive. So I think that's an important thing to do. And then also to really pay attention to negative feedback and solicit it, particularly from friends. This may sound like sort of simple advice, but it's hardly anyone does that, and it's incredibly helpful.
Boys and girls watching, study physics.
Sir, how did you become so great?
How did I become so great? That's a question. Well, which class you are studying?
4th.
What's your dream in life?
I want to become a singer.
Singer. Hindustani or Carnatic? Hindustani or Carnatic music? Any music?
Yeah, any music.
Any music will become. Well, I don't know how big. I don't know. These are relative terms. So I personally believe you must have a dream. Say, I must have a dream.
I must have a dream.
I must continuously acquire knowledge.
I must continuously acquire knowledge.
Hard work.
Hard work.
And perseverance.
And pursuance.
One should not be not afraid of problems.
Not afraid of problems.
Then you will be successful, okay?
I believe that opportunity looks a lot like hard work. When I was 13, I had my first job with my dad carrying shingles up to the roof. And then I got a job washing dishes at a restaurant. And then I got a job in a grocery store deli. And then I got a job in a factory sweeping Cheerio dust off the ground. And I've never had a job in my life that I was better than. I was always just lucky to have a job. And every job I had was a stepping stone to my next job. And I never quit my job until I had my next job. And so opportunities look a lot like work.
I want to be an entrepreneur when I get older, but I don't know where to start. Like, what action should I be taking right now as a kid?
The best way to become something is to act like something. So you want to be an entrepreneur? Start acting like one, meaning start a business, start selling things. Both will work. Or Find a mentor. Find the 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kind of entrepreneur in your neighborhood and start helping her or him out for free, just to learn the hustle, to taste the game. You've got to put yourself in the position. There's no reading about entrepreneurship.
Do you know what a computer programmer is?
Yeah, no. No. No.
When you're programming, you're teaching possibly the stupidest thing in the entire universe, a computer, how to do something.
Programming is one of the only things in the world that you can do where you can sit down and just make something completely new from scratch, you know, whatever you want.
It's really not unlike kind of playing an instrument or something, or playing a sport. It starts out being very intimidating, but you kind of get the hang of it over time.
Coding is something that can be learned, and I know it can be intimidating. A lot of things are intimidating, but you know, what isn't?
I was obsessed with maps when I was a kid, and cities specifically. So I taught myself how to program. I had a very clear goal of what I wanted to do, which is to see a map of the city on my screen and play with it. Put things on the map, move things around the map. See what was happening in the city, how it worked, how it lived, how it breathed.
The best early thing was actually using software to decide when the classes in my school would meet, and that put me in a position to decide which girls were in my class.
Well, I was in this after-school group called the Whiz Kids, and when people found out, they laughed at me and, you know, all these things. And I'm like, man, I don't care. I think it's cool, and, you know, I'm learning a lot, and some of my friends have jobs.
It's important for these kids. It should be mandatory to be a citizen on this planet, to read and write code.
I just think you have to start small, right? And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about computer science and programming overall is that you have to learn this big body of information before you can do anything.
You don't have to be a genius to know how to code. You need to be determined.
Addition, subtraction, that's about it.
You should probably know your multiplication tables.
You don't have to be a genius to code. Do you have to be a genius to read? Do you have to be a genius to do math? No? No?
I think if someone had told me that software is really about humanity, that it's really about helping people by using computer technology, it would have changed my outlook a lot earlier.
Whether you're trying to make a lot of money or whether you just want to change the world, computer programming is an incredibly empowering skill to learn.
To be able to actually come up with an idea and then see it in your hands and then be able to press a button and have it be in millions of people's hands. I think we're the first generation in the world that's really ever had that kind of experience.
The programmers of tomorrow are the wizards of the future. You know, you're going to look like you have magic powers compared to everybody else.
I think it's amazing. I think it's the closest thing we have to a superpower.
Great coders are today's rock stars. That's it.
I say to my girls all of the time that your real work is to figure out where your power base is and to work on the alignment of your personality, your gifts that you have to give, with the real reason why you're here. That's the number one thing you have to do, is to work on yourself and to fill yourself up and keep your cup full. Keep yourself full. Now, I used to be afraid of that. I used to be afraid, particularly from people who say, oh, she's so full of herself. She's so full of herself. And now I embrace it. I consider it a compliment that I am full of myself. Because you only when you're full, I'm overflowing, my cup runneth over. I have so much to offer and so much to give. And I am not afraid of honoring myself. You know, it's miraculous when you think about it.
Failure is part of life. I mean, the difference for me though is I look at failure as a stepping stone to success. It's a speed bump. I know I'm gonna fail, but it's not failure if you learn something. And so, gosh, I've made so many mistakes. I've screwed so many things up, but every time I do, it just becomes a way for me to explain to someone else what it takes. You know, it's like, here's what I've done. I think I have the ability to influence people because I talk about my failures. I talk about all the things that mess me up, but I show people that I didn't let it stop me, and you don't let it stop you. And I think that's really the secret in that area.
And if everything you touch was successful, you
First,
probably wouldn't be able to relate to people as much.
No, you'll be relate, and also it's be total bullshit, and everyone knows it's bullshit. And also you'd be bored silly. I mean, think about it. If you just said, I want this and happen, I want this and it happen, you know, people don't value what they don't fight for. You know, it's like you see kids sometimes in it, you know, your parents will say, you're not going to value this if you don't work for it. And your kid going, I'll value it, just give it to me, right? But it's true. You know, the things we've worked the hardest for, we value the most. So I think, you know, the purpose of a goal is not getting it anyway. The purpose of the goal, you know, is who you become. Who you become is going to make you happy or it's going to make you sad. So I'm not looking for an effortless approach. There's no such thing.
One thing I really like about you is you are unusually fearless and willing to go in the face of other people telling you something is crazy. And I know a lot of pretty crazy people, you still stand out. Where does that come from, or how do you think about making a decision when everyone tells you this is a crazy idea? Or where do you get the internal strength to do that?
Well, first of all, I'd say I actually think I feel fear quite strongly. So it's not as though I just have the absence of fear. I feel it quite strongly. But there are just times when something is important enough, you believe in it enough, that you do it in spite of the fear.
So speaking of important things,
like people shouldn't think people shouldn't think, well, I feel fear about this and therefore I shouldn't do it. It's normal to feel fear. Like there'd have to be something mentally wrong if you didn't feel fear.
So you just feel it and let the importance of it drive you to do it anyway?
Yeah, actually something that can be helpful is fatalism, to some degree. If you just accept the probabilities, then that diminishes fear. When starting SpaceX, I thought the odds of success were less than 10%, and I just accepted that actually probably I would just lose everything. But that maybe would make some progress. If we could just move the ball forward, even if we died, maybe some other company could pick up the baton and keep moving it forward, so that would still do some good. Same with Tesla. I thought the odds of a car company succeeding were extremely low.
One night, Chris had gone to bed. I'd been struggling. We still had all the same problems. We still had a lien on the house, still facing bankruptcy, still fighting like crazy. I was still unemployed. They still hadn't figured out like the solution yet for the business. And I was about to turn off the TV, and there on the TV, there was this rocket launching, and I thought, oh my gosh, that is it. I am gonna launch myself out of bed like a rocket ship, like NASA, right here, had launched me out of that bed. And I'm gonna move so fast that I don't think. I'm gonna beat my brain. Now, here's a really interesting point. I talk a lot about your instincts and inner wisdom. And we can get into this a little bit later, but a lot of us talk about the fact that you have a gut feeling. But what all this research that I've done for the book and all the speaking that I do, what I've discovered that's fascinating is actually when you set goals, when you have an intention on something that you want to change about your life, your brain helps you. What it does is it opens up a checklist, and then your brain goes to work trying to remind you of that intention that you set. And it's really important to develop the skill, and I say that word purposefully, the skill of knowing how to hear that inner wisdom and that intention kicking in and leaning into it quickly. So for me, my brain saying, that's it, right there, move as fast as a rocket, Mel. I wanted to change my life. And I think most people that are miserable or that are really like dying to be great and dying to have more, we want to change. We want to live a better life. We want to create more for our families. We want to be happier. The desire is there. Again, it's about how do you go from knowledge to action. So the first thing in this story that's important is realizing that the answer was in me. And my mind was telling me, pay attention. It could have also been the bourbon. I had a couple of Manhattans that night. But anyway, the next morning, the alarm goes off, and I pretended NASA was there. It's the stupidest story. I literally went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I counted out loud, and then I stood up. And I'll never forget standing there in my bedroom. It was dark, it was cold, it was winter in Boston. And for the first time in 3 months, I had beaten my habit of hitting the snooze button. I couldn't believe it. And I thought, wait a minute, counting backwards? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Well, the next morning I used it again and it worked. The next morning I used it again and it worked. The next morning I used it again and it worked. And then I started to notice something really interesting. There were moments all day long, just like that 5-second moment in bed, where I knew, knowledge, what I should do. And if I didn't move within 5 seconds, my brain would step in and talk me out of it. Every human being has a 5-second window, might even be shorter for you. You have about a 5-second window in which you can move from idea to action before your brain kicks into full gear and sabotages any change in behavior. Because remember, your brain is wired to stop you from doing things that are uncomfortable or uncertain or scary. It's your job to learn how to move from those ideas that could change everything into acting on them.
What would my advice be to a driven and intelligent college student or young person about to enter the real world? Well, it would be very simple. It would be focus on learning instead of earning. And that sounds cliche, but I'll explain why. Because if you want to make, say, $1 million a year, $10 million a year instead of $100,000 a year, I would argue you probably don't want to take the $100,000 per year job, even if it's offered to you right out of the gate. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but what I'm going to recommend is not limited to finances. You want to focus on projects, on companies, on environments where you can learn lessons on someone else's bankroll, all right? So let them pay for it, and view it effectively as an apprenticeship. So find a situation where you can be in the room with masters of a craft. And that could just be deal making. It could be joining a small company, say fewer than 50 people, where you simply get to observe one of the principals negotiating in an industry that you don't even care anything about, right? It could be waste management and you want to go into high tech, but if you sit in a room with someone who's an absolute pro at crafting deals, negotiating, getting past no, those skills and maybe those relationships start to snowball, all right? And this is what Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, would call systems thinking. So instead of being wedded to the outcome of a given job, you are accumulating skills and relationships that transcend that job, okay? And if you choose your environments well, because as I've said before, and as people like Drew, the CEO of Dropbox, who's a friend, have said, you're the average of the 5 people you associate with most, all right? So if you take just a few years, have the patience, a few years to really develop core competencies that allow you to craft your own reality and life, negotiation, deal making, getting past no, etc., learning how to pitch, how to get someone's attention in 30 seconds so that you can then create the desire and ultimately ask for some type of action. Once you develop those, then you can really just create the map for the next decade and the next several decades. So that would be it. It would be learn before you earn, and it's never too late to do that. So I don't care if you're coming out of college, coming out of high school, 30, 40, whatever it is. Systems thinking, focus on the skills and relationships first, and then you can just create a blank check for how much money you want to make, if that is your goal.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you're different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag Believe down in the comments below, on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome.
If you want the 20 best pieces of advice every aspiring entrepreneur needs to hear, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I say to my girls all of the time that your real work is to figure out where